July 7, 1971. Plague to past. The United States Army officially began the destruction of its stockpile of biological weapons at Pine Bluff Arsenal in Arkansas. This action marked a significant turning point in American military policy, public health strategy, and international arms control agreements. The decision to dismantle the biological weapons program was rooted in a reassessment of military utility, ethical considerations, and growing public concern over the use of biological agents in warfare. The United States biological weapons program had been conducted in secret for decades, beginning in 1943 during World War II. Initially overseen by the War Reserve Service and later managed by the U.S. Army Chemical Corps, the program focused on researching, testing, and producing a range of biological agents, including anthrax, tularemia, brucellosis, botulinum toxin, and Venezuelan equine encephalitis virus. Testing sites included Fort Detrick in Maryland, Dugway Proving Ground in Utah, and Johnston Atoll in the Pacific. These sites were involved in both laboratory experiments and field testing of biological agents and delivery mechanisms. By the late 1960s, growing scientific and political opposition emerged. The potential for accidental release, civilian harm, and escalation in global bioweapons development led to calls for a re-evaluation of the program. The 1969 leak of information regarding open-air biological testing off the coast of San Francisco and in New York subways deepened public concern. In response to mounting pressure, President Richard Nixon issued a presidential statement on November 25, 1969, announcing the unilateral termination of the United States offensive biological weapons program. He declared that the United States would never use biological weapons, that existing stockpiles would be destroyed, and that research would be redirected exclusively toward defensive measures such as vaccines and protective equipment. Following the presidential order, the Army developed a plan to dismantle its arsenal of biological munitions, which included agent-filled bombs, spray tanks, and cluster munitions. The first phase of destruction began on July 7, 1971, at Pine Bluff Arsenal. This site was chosen because it contained the largest biological weapons storage facility in the country. The Army conducted the disposal by incinerating or chemically neutralizing pathogens and decontaminating delivery systems under strict environmental and safety protocols. Over the course of several years, the Army destroyed more than 250,000 pounds of biological agents and weaponized munitions. The agents destroyed included Bacillus anthrax, Francisella tularensis, tularemia, Coxiella burnetii, Q fever, and botulinum toxin. Decontamination measures were thoroughly documented to ensure that no viable organisms remained. The disposal operation was observed by representatives from the Department of Defense, the Department of Health, Education and Welfare, and independent scientific experts to confirm compliance with federal and international standards. The destruction of these weapons preceded the United States ratification of the 1972 Biological Weapons Convention, which prohibited the development, production, and stockpiling of biological and toxin weapons. The U.S. signed the treaty in April 1972 and ratified it in 1975. The 1971 action thus strengthened the nation's credibility in promoting international arms control and demonstrated a concrete commitment to reducing the threat of biological warfare. The elimination of the offensive biological weapons program also had long-term consequences for U.S. military doctrine. It marked a shift from weapons of mass destruction toward conventional and nuclear strategy, and it prompted the establishment of a defensive biological research program. Institutions such as the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases at Fort Detrick continued working on vaccines, diagnostics, and protective measures to safeguard military personnel from potential biological attacks. In summary, the July 7, 1971 commencement of destruction was not only a technical operation but also a symbol of changing values within national defense. It signaled a move away from secrecy and offensive capabilities toward transparency, ethics, and compliance with emerging international norms. The dismantling of the arsenal was a deliberate and documented action that reinforced American commitment to responsible scientific and military conduct. This date remains a milestone in the history of arms control and public health policy. For enthusiasts of historical ephemera, visit history-collectors.com to find collectibles that might complement your collection. You can own a piece of history.